Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you'd be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. Get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for episode 269. And now that episode 269 is done in the books, we got a lot to talk about on this one. So first and foremost, they're not even hiding the whole plot twist that's going on with Hana Sensei. If you predicted that Hana Sensei was going to be the assassin, you can 100% say, see, I told you so, because they are 100% taking inspiration from the Academy arc that Boruto did, down to the fact that she's in the hospital in the exact same pose that Sumire was in. And when Kawaki ends up fighting her at the end of the episode, you start seeing like some little chakra blasts that start going off, like they have like little chakra whips and tails and etc., just like how Sumire had when you had the whole New Way situation. So it looks like we're gonna get in a few episodes a mix up between Kawaki and Hana Sensei. And for this one, I just hope, since they're doing the Academy thing, we get an episode like Boruto episode 13. Boruto episode 13 is one of the better animated episodes in Boruto, so I'm hoping that at least going through this arc, we get something memorable for that one. Again, not expecting Kawaki to go like super serious, but I am expecting the guy to fight with some strength the same way that Mitsuki did. And I also have realistic expectations. I am fully aware of the fact that some of the animators that worked on Boruto episode 13 are working on a couple of other projects. Right now, Boruto's production staff has been working on that Code Actuation arc and on the Code manga adaptation. So you're seeing a lot of new names, and you've been seeing new names as far back as the Funato clan arc. So I'm well aware of what's going on production wise with Boruto. So I am going to go into that eventual fight between Kawaki and Hana Sensei with tempered expectations, but I do think that that has potential to be one of the better animated episodes out this arc. Or rather, I hope so, because again, the staff is not out for that, and there's a good chance you're probably going to see new names on there. But I'm hoping we get 1 or 2 names from established animators on that episode. Remains to be seen. But with that being said, let's shift over into the recap portion now that you got my initial thoughts out of the way. Basically, after Hana is met with all the classroom students and they're all talking to her saying, we hope you feel better, they start playing up the fact that Hana, there's a difference between her and Sumire. Whereas Sumire was putting on an act, Hana genuinely does not know what it is that has actually happened. And it looks like this is going to be a split personality situation. When the episode shifts over to the events that are occurring inside the Hokage office, Naruto knows that something's up with Kawaki. And I do like seeing that little bit right there, because when Shikamaru's kind of ripping into Kawaki saying like, look, man, like you botched this whole mission. You saying sorry is not going to cut it. You should have reported what was going on. Sai's like, hey, you need to just stay at home until the police come to get you and we can interrogate you. Naruto looks over at him. He says, you had a reason for why you didn't report this, didn't you? And I can kind of appreciate that, because Naruto, the person who spends the least amount of time with his family, is able to read the situation and go, he's hiding something. And I like that for a moment you saw that parental instinct out of Naruto there. I thought that that was a nice touch. It's very subtle, but it's very nice to see that aspect of it. Now, when the episode shifts over again to having Kai inside of her home, you have this moment where she looks out and she sees all these Chunin. They're guarding her compound. Batora pops in. Batora is letting her know, like, you got the wrong read on Kawaki. You think that Kawaki was trying to play you for a fool. You got to understand, as a shinobi, even if he saw you as a friend, he can't tell you about the particulars of his mission. Don't take that personally. He probably wanted to tell you, but he's on a mission so important that he can't even tell his own friends. And for a second, I'm thinking Batora's got too good of a read on the situation. However, I think that was just a genuine assessment because he was stated to have been a talented shinobi back in the day. And what I like about this is that as Kai is beginning to start weighing the information that Batora is telling her, in real time, you have Kawaki and Himawari and Eke, and they're at the police station. We get a pretty big revelation in terms of it's a payoff if you're somebody that's watched all of the Boruto anime episodes, that Tubbly Wubbly police captain that Boruto and the rest of them have been helping out, he's actually Eke's uncle. And that's a connection I did not expect. I did not expect to see that right there, but it kind of makes sense when you really think about it. And what I like there is that after Kawaki goes home, Himawari lets him know, like, hey, you might be off the mission, but you're still Kai's friend. Shouldn't you try to do something to try and help her out? And Kawaki, it takes him a moment to kind of catch what Himawari is saying. He's like, look, I'll go do whatever it is I do. If you want to tag along, you can tag along. It's dangerous, but I'm not going to stop you. And what I like here is that you see some growth out of Kawaki because he's sitting there and he's having to rely on Eke, and Himawari is the one that made the connection. So you do see some of the bridge that was burned between the two of them. You see some of that bridge kind of being fixed up, and it kind of shows that in this moment, Kawaki's able to focus more so on the bigger picture. It's not necessarily about his annoyance with Eke, and I think that when they went through that situation with the bombs and etc., that might have brought them a little closer. You know how it is, like with, you know, boys, men, whatever. You know, it's just one of those things where we'll fight each other one day, then the next day it's like, yo, that's my guy right there. So I kind of chalked that one up to that. But, you know, Eke kind of shows that, you know, he isn't a simp like how I was saying. Like, he's a simp, don't get me wrong. Like, the guy is head over heels in love with Kai. If Kai wanted to step on this man would say, step on me, mommy. Like, the dude is a simp. However, what this man says is kind of interesting. So he breaks down the whole situation. He says, well, there had to have been somebody in the area, because when you look at how close they put those bombs, they got just far enough away to where it wouldn't harm the actual students, but it would draw out the information. And he makes the connection of, well, if there was somebody in the background, we'll be able to find the culprit by looking at Solsha's photos, which is that girl that does the whole investigative journalism stuff for him. And what I like about that is that when they do go to her house to try and get the photos, you know, nothing they're saying works, and he's quick-witted enough that he's able to swallow some of his pride. And he's able to say, well, the only reason why I want the photos is because there was this girl that was in the crowd and it was love at first sight. And that's enough in order to get the photos. They start going through the whole stack of photos. And what you see here is that Himawari actually catches a photo of Batora. And it just, for a moment, makes you think like, oh my God, it's the butler. The butler's the bad guy. We were fooled all along. And that's not what happened. What happens is that was a red herring. And Kawaki and Himawari, they take off running towards the mansion. And Kawaki's like, man, I can't believe this guy. You're really starting to buy into it for a second. But once they get to the compound, they find out that all the lights are out and all the tuning that were guarding the residents, all of them have been knocked out. You see Batora with the kunai, you're thinking like, oh my God, okay, it's about to go down right here. However, that's not what happens. What ends up shifting over is the fact that Batora was actually guarding Princess Kai from the real assassin. And when Kawaki sees this, Kawaki immediately steps in, and you see a brief moment where Kawaki lands a hit on the assassin. The assassin says like, whoa, this guy's strong. I'm getting out of here. The assassin takes off running. Kawaki starts chasing after her. And I'll say this, that was actually a good sequence right there. Like, I was a little let down during aspects of the episode in terms of some of the animation. However, I will say that sequence right there, that was pretty clean. And one thing I love is that whoever animated that, when they did the special effects and everything for the jutsu attack, if you look at it closely, you see those flower petals that are circling around the chakra waves, letting you know that this is actually the classroom teacher that's doing everything. But because it's a different personality, you have a blue chakra aura. So I like that. That was a nice touch and a nice attention to detail there. Another thing too, the sequence where Kawaki's running through the forest and everything, and he's kind of rolling around and jumping through the trees and doing all this acrobatic stuff. I'm willing to bet that some of that's going to be banked animation that you're going to see when you get to the code arc that's coming in the anime adaptation of the manga stuff. I really think that that's going to be some of the banked animation. And then you get the brief taijutsu exchange when Kawaki's just knocking this assassin around, and you can tell like each hit he's just using a little bit more force because he doesn't want to use enough force to actually kill the assassin, but he wants to use enough to actually rock the bells a little bit. And what I like here is that once that assassin realizes I'm cornered, I'm not going to win this fight, we go back to some OG Naruto stuff. So, you know, back in the day when a ninja would get caught, in order to prevent themselves from giving up vital intel, they just blow themselves up. Like when that happened and the assassin takes off the cloak and you see all the paper bombs attached, I'm like, oh man, like first we had shadow clones, and now we got this going on right here. It made me think about Itachi's exploding clone, and I thought that's what it was. I was like, damn, did Kawaki get fooled again? Was this a second shadow clone that was just gonna blow up? I thought that was the case. However, that's not the case. Whoever was actually fighting against Kawaki, they literally blew themselves up because there's a corpse left behind. And the only jutsu I can think of that allows like a body double of a corpse that gets left behind is a jutsu that Kabuto used. That's the only one I could think of that might be able to fool them in this manner. I think you're probably going to see the revelation later on where they realize like, oh my God, we got fooled. The real assassin's still here, because they're telegraphing that just based off the fact that Kawaki's looking at Naruto and them and he's like, yeah, I don't think we got the real person. Something don't feel right about this. Things are getting wrapped up just a little too easy. Kawaki's saying, I have my degree in anime bullshit science, and right now this looks like it's the groundwork for an amazing thesis for a really good dissertation. However, my episode question to you guys is, how do you feel about the fact that it looks like Hana Sensei is the culprit, but they try to play it off with her having a split personality? Is that a good enough plot twist for you? And then the second question I have for you is, when Kawaki had to admit that Bator was right about why he was checking up on Kai and why he kept everything a secret, where does that rank for you in terms of Kawaki's character growth? While you think that over, click here to watch my Spy Family video on KRYPTONIAN Saiyan, and click here to watch this throwback video on Naruto Explained.